Hey, here we are, another Tuesday night. So,
Here we are.
yep. Yeah, welcome everybody to Paranormal Chat on LLF Radio Network. So, how's
Still
Mike
no
doing
name
tonight?
change yet. Not too bad. How about yourself? Doing okay?
Um, Better. Yeah, it was a rough morning, but yeah, better today. So yeah, so things are better tonight anyway. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're feeling better now. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
thing for sure.
And
Yeah, so
yeah, I saw you guys had a bunch of kids at Rhodes End this week, huh?
we did.
I see you
Next
pulled your hair out
year,
with them all. So
yeah, it's all gone, right? Yeah, we next year is the 200th anniversary of Hamilton County. And we're teaming up with the town hall to do some stuff in April. We're going to kind of open things up to let people come in and check the place out as part of the celebration. And I was like, well, Crystal was contacted about class coming in and doing like a video and stuff for um, that anniversary and everything, and because they want to include this as being part of the county, which is really cool since it's historic place and all. Um, but they, yeah, that we set it up to where they could come in yesterday and check out the place, and we did a few little interviews and stuff with it, and everybody had a good time. So yeah, there's about like 25, 30 kids running around in Rhodes Hotel with about 4 or 5 teachers or so.
yeah, that's always fun. I've had uh,
Yeah.
I've had the kids out like that at Ashmore before, and it's I told one of the girls one night, I said, when she was out there and I wasn't able to be there, and it was a high school group, I said, when they're there, open the door and just move. She's like, what? I said,
Yeah.
because they'll be like
Yeah.
taking off like bats out of hell. And I said, so just open the door, get out of the way. And she's like, okay. And she did. It's like, you weren't kidding. They would have ran right over me. I'm like, yeah, you don't even talk to them. They just kind of go. And some of them
Yeah.
been there before, so it's kind of crazy. But
Yeah, they're excited to be here, and you get some interesting questions with with some of the younger kids too. Yeah, I'm sure
yeah,
you get you've gotten that there too.
yeah. Our last one that we just had out there not too long ago, I think Ashley took them through, was
Mhm.
um, I think it's an alternative education group. Kids that have had some issues here and there, something like that, with other schools and all. And it's kind of
Mhm.
funny because they've been out there for 3 or 4 different years, and they're all different kids each year, and
Mhm.
we've never had an issue with them at all. In fact, they actually came out there and helped us clean the building out one day, and we
That's
had all
cool.
kinds of junk, and they came out and helped us clean the building out. They had a blast doing it. So I think a
That's
lot of times
awesome.
it's just a matter of finding something they enjoy doing, and they
Mhm.
had all kinds of experiences while they're out there too. So it's like, you don't know what to believe, what not to believe, but it's like, as long as they had fun, that was all that mattered.
Yep, that's exactly what I said yesterday. As long as everybody has a good time, then I'm happy. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. It was nice. Yeah, and then
You
you
guys have some
had
more stuff coming up.
yeah, we got the public investigation coming up for the last one of the year. um, December 10th. We have 2 tickets left on that one, so it's almost sold out, but still a few tickets left. If anybody interested in coming in for that one, it's $40, and it is yeah. If you, yeah, I already said there's only 2 tickets left. Yeah, go to rhodeshotel.com if you're interested in and getting those tickets and yeah, be a good time. Those run from 6 o'clock to 2 a.m. and then that's the last event of the year.
When's that one?
Yeah. December 10th.
Okay.
Yep. So still a few weeks away for that one. Yep. And then you had event over the weekend. I saw online. Of course, I already knew about it, but yeah, I was seeing
Yeah.
pictures from it.
Yeah, the Tennessee Ray Chasers were Mike and Christopher in there, and it was kind of funny because it was pretty cool in there, and and we knew that going up front, but you never know. I mean, this weekend is supposed to be 50 degrees plus, out there.
Yeah.
So last weekend
Yeah.
we didn't even break 30, and so it's like you just never know what the temperature is going to be in the area. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a cold day, cold night, but they had a lot of experiences, a lot of stuff going on, and so it was. nobody left upset, with what went on. But
Good.
and we'll ask that Exie if she's had experiences with investigating in the cold. But we seem like we always have a lot of stuff going on when it's cold. I'm not sure why. Maybe the ghost is just frozen too, and they're just like sitting there not wanting to move anywhere. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
it was a fun weekend, and we're actually going
Good.
to set one up next year. Um, and those guys are getting crazy because now we're going to do it like the first weekend of December.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and that was the only date that worked into their schedule for next year. And so they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, the heat won't be built in the building by then. I can guarantee you that. So it's still going to be probably kind of cold,
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, it's
but
gonna be chilly. But then again, you never know. Like you just said with the weather,
yeah.
who knows? It could be 60 degrees that weekend next year.
Well, and it was one year in December. We did like the third weekend. We had our open house. We try to do a Christmas open house. We haven't done one the last couple of years, and I don't know that we'll get
Yeah.
it done this year because we've been so busy with other things. But we try to do an open house during Christmas, and it was 60 some degrees that day we did it. But then we did an open
Uh,
house a few years ago in August, and it was like 50 degrees and rainy and cold, and everybody was freezing. So who knows? You can't predict the weather and everything.
Good
So
old Midwest weather.
oh yeah, yep. So
Yep.
it's like, well, they'll set it up and try it and see how it goes. But yeah, it'll be fun. We still got a couple
Yeah.
investigations, a couple privates coming up. We got this weekend's booked Friday, Saturday, and I don't think we got anything Sunday. But then we've got the next weekend's booked, and then we've got 2 Saturday nights in December booked. And I always tell everybody when they book those, I'm like, you realize there's no heat in the building. And if there's no
Yeah.
heat, there's no water. And if there's no water, there's no bathroom. So there'll be a portable toilet out there that we've
Mhm.
actually brought in for the month. And I said, but, so they're going to get lucky this weekend, though. The water will be on. So they'll be fortunate this weekend. We haven't shut it off
Yeah.
completely yet, but we're
Decent
close.
weather. Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's supposed to be about 50, 38, 40 degrees at night. So
Mhm.
we can leave the water on. But other than that, that's about it. We're running out of dates.
Yeah. This weather's been crazy. I mean, like it was. God, I mean, so crazy. Like I think the wind chill was like when I looked at the weather the other night, it was saying it could be like -3. It got down to like 11 degrees or something here the other night, and then today it's like 55,
Yeah.
something like that. Oh
But
well.
yeah, if you want to book roads, get a hold of Crystal and she'll set you up. And for next year,
Yeah.
don't wait till the end of the year and or the middle of the year next year to book stuff. Get it early so you get the dates that work out well for you. And
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm sure they
Already.
have some Saturdays still available, and they're already starting to book stuff. So
Yeah.
now's the
Yeah. We're
time to
already
do it.
booking stuff. Yeah. Already booking into next year for sure. Yep.
And yep, we've done the same thing. We don't have any Saturdays available now from April until the end of October. So we got Saturdays in March and November, but and then other months, obviously the cold weather months. But those are everything else is booked up. So if you're looking to book something in Ashmore, do it and
Time's running
get
out.
that in there. So
Yeah. Time's running out. Right.
yep, it won't be long, and
Hmm.
yep, won't be long. But it's yeah, we actually have one thing that's kind of cool coming up too. We've got um, and everybody probably knows, but Destination Fear starts their uh, starts their fourth season this Friday night,
Yeah.
and Ashmore Estates will be on December 30th on Travel Channel and Discovery Plus with Destination Fear because they were out there in June and filming, so it'll be it'll be an interesting episode. I have no idea what's on it. I
Wow.
talked to Dakota when they were walking out of the building about 7 o'clock in the morning and said, "Don't tell me anything that you had. Just let me know if you had a good night." And he's like, "You're gonna like this episode." He's like, "It's gonna be good." So I'm like, "Okay," because I'm really looking forward to editing this one. So it's like, yeah,
Cool.
cool, But yep, I just didn't. I didn't want to know. It's like I kind of like the surprise things myself. I don't want it to be this. Plus, somebody asked me now, I don't have to lie to them. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, you can literally say, "Yeah, I have no idea what they
Yeah.
got, what happened." Yeah.
Yep. The
Yep.
only thing that I know is that before we started that night, before they went in, there was a possum, which we never see possums out there. There's like 3 trees in the whole lot. And there was a
Yeah.
possum walking around the building like he owned the place. He was walking around the outside of the building like he was going to the front door. We went over and shut the door and kind of scared the possum off. and we locked the back door, and I gave the producer he could unlock the doors and everything in case they wanted to get out or something, because
Yeah.
they had somebody outside the entire time that they were there. And
Mm.
so Chelsea the next day, she's like, yeah, it's like I had one time though that it was really kind of creepy, but I figured I knew what it was anyway. It's like there was something hissing at me and growling at me, and I thought, oh, that dang possum got in the building. And I'm like, no, there's no holes big enough for the possum to get in, and that wasn't a possum. She's like, now I'm kind of freaked out because I thought it was the possum. So she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if it wasn't a possum, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Uh, so we'll see what happens. They kind of joked about
Yeah.
that during the episode, I think, but now they find out now. It's like, oops, that really was something there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to see the episode and see what
yeah,
what they
see how
got.
it goes. But well,
Yeah.
let's bring Exie in here and have some
Sounds good.
see what she's been up to.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hey,
Hey.
Howdy. How are
hi
you doing?
guys. Doing wonderful. Actually, it was a
Good.
nice
Good.
day today. I'm not freezing to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
Yep, I know how that goes.
Oh
Yep,
man.
we've all been there. Yep, we've been there numerous times this year, especially.
Yeah, it went from we were still playing pickleball outside, and then it was like you're going indoors now. You're forced indoors. Yeah, so it's kind of a bummer, but still good to play.
I saw you were playing pickleball. I used to know what that was. I can't remember what it is now, but
It's just
I
kind of
don't
a
think.
combination of badminton, ping pong, and tennis.
Oh, okay.
Use a
All
wiffle
right.
ball about this big, which will leave bruises, and it's a distinct bruise, and there's a hole in the middle, like a Swiss cheese hole. But it's about maybe half the size of a tennis court, so it's a elderly. God, I shouldn't phrase it that way. A little more friendly to people over 50, so you aren't gonna like die on the court, but I am totally addicted. If I had a bigger yard, I'd be putting a court in.
That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah. I wasn't familiar with it either.
It's the fastest growing sport in the country.
Oh yeah. Huh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's getting the kids out of the parents' basement. I like that.
There you go. Yeah, off their machines and everything. But
Yes.
once like I had somebody who was wanting to do an event out at Ashmore, and he was talking about doing something a little bit different, and he wanted to do a softball tournament. And I suggested to do a wiffle ball tournament, but hey, maybe do a paranormal pickleball tournament.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
one person already signed up, right?
Well, we kind of, and I kind of agreed with them. I don't want to say who it was in case they decided to do something anyway, but I know they're not doing Ashmore because they already told me they had things booked already this year. But I thought it was kind of a good idea in a way. It just kind of brings people together a little bit more. And I told them, I said the reason I was against softball because it takes a little more talent to play softball than it does like wiffle ball. And I said, and plus you don't need the equipment and things like that. And it sounds like pickleball is kind of along that same line.
Super simple to play. You need a rack. You need a paddle. It's because it's not a racket. It's a paddle and a wiffle ball. And obviously a net. But
yeah,
that's it.
So
Yeah.
sounds perfect, and you don't need a lot of space probably either. Then so
Can you play it with one leg?
Yes. Absolutely.
I had to just throw it in there.
always try and get that leg up on the competition, aren't you, Mike?
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Yep.
So are you about convention done now for the year?
I am. Old Mill in Dundee was my last public. I have a couple more private parties, and then probably about 40 readings booked till the end of the year, private. And I'm going to take the first 2 weeks off in January and go to Florida. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
hopefully no hurricane situations.
Yeah.
I have a weird history with saying I'm going to a state or a country and something awful happens there. So generally, I don't say. I mean, my son, if he's watching, he is laughing because there's been hurricanes, there's been bombings, it's, yeah. I was supposed to go to New York, 9/11. Paris, they had a bombing. Um, Florida, hurricane. Carolina, hurricane. It was so, I don't generally say, and I just said Florida. So it's like, ugh. But
Florida's kind of long though, so it could be anywhere. So
Yeah.
go hide in
you
the
didn't say
corner.
which city you're going to. So
Yes. No.
now,
No.
if you ever come to Central Illinois, just kind of give me a heads up, and I'll come visit Mike. And Mike, you can do the same thing. You should guys come to Indy.
Well, and the most awesome thing that I discovered when I came to Ashmore was you are like 10 minutes from my family roots on my mom's side. My mom was born in Paris
Oh, okay.
in a house there, and my grandmother was born there as well. And so I had been there. I'd been around that area a couple of times before.
Oh, so you
But
broke in the building before then?
yeah, that was me. Yeah. But yeah, so it was insane when before we came and loaded in for the event, I went over and I took pictures of where my mom was born and went and met the librarian, the historian for the town. She was just so excited to have somebody show up. And turns out she had dated one of my ancestors, but they didn't get married. So I was like, oh, we could have been related. Yeah, it was insane and so friendly. Everybody is so friendly down there. It's just amazing.
Yeah, actually, we had lunch in Paris yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
So, yep. Yeah, we're Ashmore working over the weekend and working there yesterday until last night. So we zipped into Paris, and it's like 20 minutes or 20 miles away from Ashmore. So
yeah,
we ran in there and just had lunch, just because I get tired of going to Charleston or something.
So I was little and I found my mom's birth certificate in a pile of papers. We were going through stuff, and all I saw, I didn't really know how to read the birth certificate. And I saw she was born in Paris, and I got so mad at her for not telling me she'd been born in France. and here I had this great story for the kids at school, She's like, sorry, baby. No, it was Illinois.
Yeah.
But I love it there. I think it's a neat area.
I'm not sure I've been there.
Oh, yeah, it's yet to. I've gone through that way on the way up the roads every once in a while, just kind of take some back roads or something like that. But you'll have to get in there, Mike. And the town square down there, the building. I don't know if it's the courthouse. I guess it's the courthouse. At night, it's really cool the way they light it up and all.
Ooh,
it's like cool. Purple and black lights. It's lit up at night, so it's kind of gothic looking too.
Yeah, that seems cool. A little different for them.
So yeah, but yeah, it's like we stayed the night down there one time when we couldn't get rooms in Charleston, and we drove by the courthouse there. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I shot a bunch of pictures of it at night.
That's awesome. Yeah, that seems a little radical for them, but I like it.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Yeah. Aw.
This is like what we were talking about, like through messages earlier, when we were sending messages and stuff. We've talked more so far, just in what little bit of the show is now, than what we get to talk at like some of the cons and stuff, because everybody's running around. You just don't get time to really talk.
No, I agree. I got about 5 minutes of Robin in the Sioux, and
which was probably more than enough.
No. Actually, we got to talk downstairs in the bingo room. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
That I thoroughly enjoyed. I'd forgotten about that because then I saw you outside of the bar later. But yeah, it was so nice. And then Mike, were you there this year?
Yeah. Okay. I was there.
Okay, memory is failing me. I apologize. So I think we got to say hi, and that
was about it.
That's the normal.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be fun just to get, do something at a location. Even thought about doing it at Ashmore sometime and just inviting people in and just say, we're not doing anything. We're just going to sit and talk, wander around, do what you want to do, and just enjoy a day or a weekend or something like that.
Oh, that would be so nice. It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah, people can be themselves instead of having to put up a table and sit behind the table and answer questions and just, I just think it'd be kind of fun.
yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Well, there's a Dale, a friend of mine who I met through events in 2013, I think. We started in about 2017 to do a dinner in December, and we just put it out there. Whoever wants to show up, just come. You can either come and have a cocktail or come and have a dinner with us and do whatever. Um, it's been so nice, and COVID messed it up, but it was just so nice to sit and be able to not have to go, oh, excuse me, because somebody else came up. You're like,
Right.
oh, go away. I'll be with you in a minute. And, yeah, and it was in that same vein that you were talking about. It's really, really nice to just have that time down and get to know somebody who you think you know, but you don't.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I had a chance to sit down with. We filmed out at St. Albans years ago with Christopher and Philip Booth, and we stayed there on the property with those guys, and it was great because we sat there that night and we just sit there until like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I never stay up that late, just talking. And it's like we weren't, it was no shop talk. It was just like just talking, and it's like, oh, it's kind of nice for a change to sit there and just to do something different.
Yeah, I love that. And even at a convention, if you can sneak away and go out to dinner with a couple people,
Mhm.
that's really a gift. That the whole weekend, that's the gift right there. I'm not saying the people aren't, but just that downtime and that little normalcy thing, it really matters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like you just said, I mean, just even this year, I mean, we had enough time to basically just say hi, and that was about it. I think I saw you a few times, but it was only like that quick, hey, how's it going? And it's
I
like,
know. Yes, going that way, and then you're going back that way. But that's kind of what you sign up for. So
Yep.
yeah.
But that's it. Yeah, we usually end up driving about every place I go. I end up driving anyway, and so it's kind of nice in a way because we get there once in a while. And somebody's like wanting to go out for dinner or something like that. We're like, jump in, let's go. And Doogie from the race chases went with us one year for a couple different. I think he spent the whole every time we went. He's like,
Yeah.
had a spot in the truck, got in the truck, and it's like, let's go. And then Shane Pittman jumped in with us a couple years ago, and when we were at Scarefest, and
Yeah.
went out with us, and so it's just a matter of just like jumping in and going someplace, and I think it's kind of nice too because when when these guys and you get to know them enough, you're like you're not like slobbering over them, like, oh my god, you guys are on this TV show and everything, and I think that's what they like more than anything. It's like we can just go with them, and they're not gonna sit there and say to the waiter, hey, do you know who this is? Because they're on TV. It's like it's like
Yeah.
we just don't
Just
do it.
hang
Chad
out.
Lindbergh. Yeah, Chad, we've gone out for dinner with Chad numerous times, and Ben Affleck and Grant and all. It's like, yeah, that never even comes up, and
oh, I know it.
Don't even bring it up.
No, it's so nice. It's just the normal thing. And we went out with Grant in we ended up in the Sioux, and then we ran into him. We did Salem Con too, so we were out, and it was just so normal. And I kind of looked at him. I'm like, it's like talking to my dentist or just the neighbor, or like, this is great. Thoroughly enjoyed he and his wife, and it was just downtime. I met Andrea paired for lunch in Florida. She had gotten a hold of me, and she goes, "You're going to be here. Here's my number. Call me." And I was like, "Oh, what do I do?" And my husband goes, "Call her." I was like, "Oh, But it was just nice. I mean, we talked about her town and just silly things, and it really,
Mhm.
it matters.
Right.
Yeah. And she was treated normal, and she looked at me and she goes, thank you. I had no clue for what, I was like, what'd I do? You know, but yeah. So it was cute. It was cute.
Yeah, it's
You know,
fun just hanging out and not worrying, not even talking paranormal or anything else. Just, hey, how you been? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be a weird thing too. It's like, we didn't even talk about ghosts. It's like, whoa. Yeah.
well, and I tell people all the time they're going to events. If you just want to talk to somebody there, don't talk about their show. That's their job. They really don't want to necessarily talk about that. Everybody in the line is going to talk about that. So talk about something different, and see what's going on. It's like, I ask, talk to Grant every once in a while and talk about his piano work and he's been doing his
Yeah.
drawings and stuff like that. And because it's like, wow, somebody really knows me other than just the show and from the show. But yeah, which is kind of nice. And I think they appreciate that a lot more too when you follow them a little bit more or something like that. You just treat them like a person. That's all you
Yeah.
got to do. That's it. Simple as that.
Yep. Yes, exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of celebrities and TVs and all, have you been on any of the shows at all yourself?
I have not. I have had, I, I would love to do a walk on, something simple, and just do it and find out what it's about. I've had 3 show offers, which is like, wait, that's way out here. I would like to be here and do this, and I don't want to, to own it. And so it's been interesting. I've had 2 from Travel Channel and 1 from something else. And my big thing is, I won't lie for you. I won't work January, February, March. That's my time with my husband. And if it's going to affect my marriage, uh, because that's my life right there, So, and the one was such a great concept. And they said somebody was already doing it. I saw a commercial and then never saw the show materialize. So I was so bummed. But no, I have not. Long answer. But, it's been out there and my choice that it didn't work. So it's not the end all be all.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
I
kind of
think that's
hanging
the
out.
big thing, though, like you said, is that there's so many people that are willing to do whatever it takes to be on a show.
Yeah. And
And like,
I'm not going to tell you I'm hearing something when I'm not, because that's my career. I've built a
Yeah.
career on being honest and being forthright, and standing up for things. And I mean, I don't know if it means anything, but I'm a Virgo, so that means I'm really honest and I'm like blunt. So if somebody says you heard that, I'm like, well, you could have, I didn't, and I'm not going to argue with them, because there's been instances at investigations where people have heard things, and I'm like, really? So, and I'm not disputing it. I'm just like, damn it, I missed it. That's more of the reaction. But I've talked to Tenny about this too. And he's like, no, you got to have your standard. You got to have your things you won't do. Same thing we were just talking about, when I had gotten a job offer and we're at the Sioux, and I went to Grant because I had heard the horror stories for them. So I go to Grant and I said, okay, so here's my tale. I've got this interview, and I'm going to do this whole thing for the Travel Channel, and it happens when I get home Monday. He grabs me by the arm, drags me across the theater. It was the big theater, and he introduces me to this attorney. He goes, she can't help you because she works for a corporation, but tell her your story, because he had already told me his horror stories for them, how badly they got handled. And so she goes, sit down. So I sat down and I got an education in about 20 minutes from her on what not to do. She gave me a list. She sent it to me later of entertainment attorneys in Detroit. And it was really interesting. It was terrifyingly truthful and really there, when it's kind of a fantasy thing to say, oh, oh, we're going to do this TV show. Here's the reality. It's a month away from home. It's hours that are butt kicking. And, like them, they didn't get any merch, nothing, and they didn't own their names. They didn't own the show. They didn't own nothing, so it was pretty brutal. So she sat me down and gave me this, I think she worked for Netflix at the time. And she goes, so I can't rep you, but I can give you things to do and not to do. So it was interesting. And it gave me a whole different look when I did the interview than on Monday. And it was fun, but I knew when we were off, I looked at my husband and he goes, so what'd you think? And I said, it's not mine. And he goes, why? And I said, I had dry mouth so bad, my lips stuck to my teeth. I looked like a horse. I was doing this whole thing. And I couldn't stop. And I kept drinking water and it wasn't helping. I was like, oh, well, that's not mine. And if it's yours, it's meant to be. If it's not, it's not. We'll go on to the next.
Yep, exactly. But, yeah,
Some
I
of
know
that-
Mike was on
Go ahead.
an episode of Ghost Hunters, and I was on Ghost Adventures Aftershocks one time. But mine was almost not big because, like you said, they pretty much like those shows think they own you, and I can't be bought. So it's and they. I got in a little dispute with the producer because he told me I couldn't wear shorts. I'm like, well, then forget it. I'm just not going to do it. And he's like, what? And I said, if I can't wear shorts, I'm not doing your show. And he's like, well, we don't ever shoot in shorts. I'm like, that's fine, but I'm not going to be there. And he's like, well, I said, this is about the building. It's not about me. So if you want to talk about the building, great. If you don't want to, I don't care. He's in fact, his last comment was, so you'll give up the opportunity to not be on TV because you can't wear shorts. I'm like, yeah, because first off, I really don't give a rat's ass about being on TV. And so they finally said, wear the shorts. I'm like, okay. So we went out and did it. And in fact, when we shot it that day, the director's like, he's wearing shorts. And the producer's like, yeah, I know, just shoot it. Like, we're not going through that legs. Again.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's not that much. I just never wear long pants. But it was kind of funny because Richard Estep, and I got a call from Paranormal 911 because I'm an EMT. I've been an EMT for years, and we had a situation where three of us had seen a lady standing in the kitchen that was not there, and the other two guys have nothing to do with the paranormal whatsoever. But we all three saw the same thing, and so they wanted to bring us on the show. And so the guy from Paranormal 911 calls me. He's like, "He's Rob. This is such," and I forget his name, from Paranormal 911. He said, "Yeah." He's like, "First thing I had to tell you, we will allow you to wear shorts on our show." Oh, okay. So you've been talking to Richard then. So they say, yeah. So, but
yeah, you set a new standard.
That's right. Yeah, it's a real low standard, but the Destination Spirit didn't say anything when they shot that in June out there. So we shot the episode at Ashmore in June, or they shot it. I would happen to be out there, open the doors for them. So, and in fact, they said, "Well, we're going to interview you tonight. We're going to interview you tonight about 7." I'm like, "Oh, you are?" Like, I didn't know that. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we always talk to the person who owns the property." I'm like, "Well, okay, but yeah." He said, "You know what probably do?" I'm like, "No, but that's fine. I don't care." But but it was kind of nice because they didn't tell me, just like Ghost Adventures Aftershock. They didn't tell me what I had to say or anything, because it wouldn't have ever done it. I would have said, it was great if you guys paid for my trip out here to Las Vegas. I appreciate it, but I'm not saying that. And so not happening.
Yeah, that was my thing too, and it wasn't their thing. So whatever works for you, great. But this is what works for me.
Right.
When I got called, I was asked to do an episode, and after we kind of cleared that up, then there was someone else, from production, whoever, calling me, and when I answered the phone, they had already had me pulled up on social media and already were looking at pictures of me and stuff. They were just like, "So you wearing a hat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you just saw a picture of me wearing a hat, and they're like, "Well, we prefer you not to wear a hat since a few guys already wear hats and stuff." And I'm like, "Is that a problem?" And I'm like, "No, no big deal. You just saw a random picture of me wearing a hat on that rare occasion that I do. It's not a big
Yeah,
deal, but it was odd."
yeah, because you don't wear hats that often anyway. So
No, not that much, yeah, but it was just odd though, like that. Yeah, I was already being looked at before I even answered the phone. It's like checking out the pictures and like seeing, oh, this guy wears a hat. Well,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they've been all over social media checking you out. And so I
oh
was
yeah,
like, well, so I cleared that hurdle, because they called, but it was like, I even told the guy, I can't talk right now. I'm on a bike. I, they used to have this thing in Detroit called Slow Roll, and you go downtown and have dinner, and then about 1,000 people, we'd ride bikes through Detroit, and they'd have certain destinations, and um, so much fun. So yeah, I'm like, sorry, I can't talk to you right now. He goes, do you realize who I am? And I'm like, not really, but I said, I'm sorry, they're leaving. I have to go. Yeah. Steve goes, who was that? I said, I think somebody from Travel Channel. I'm not even sure. And so he started laying out. He goes, well, I'm glad that's really important. I'm like, uh, you know, I mean, it is and it isn't. I know what it would do for me, and I know the doors it would open, but it, that hasn't worked for the reasons I stated. And the biggest reason is my husband. And they want me to work the 3 months where we're supposed to be in Florida together because he's
yeah,
retired. So I'm not going to be like, okay, we just rented a house for $5,000. I'll be back at the end. You know, have fun. Yeah. So
I did a
yeah.
TV commercial back in I think it was about 89 or 90, something like that. It's been years and years ago, and they were going to pay to kind of do this TV commercial, and they wanted me to come out there for like a week straight. And I'm like, I can't do that. And they're like, what do you mean we're going to pay you to come out here? I'm like, well, but you're paying me I'm coming out here. You're not paying me enough to, I just started a new job and everything. I can't do that. And he's like, well, we're paying you. I say, look, I said, unless you're planning on paying me for the rest of my life, I am not going to do that.
Mhm.
So they said, we really want you to come out here. So they say, how's the longest you could come out here? I said, 3 days. Yeah, we can't do it 3 days. All right, have a nice day. Find somebody else. I'm done. Well, they ended up doing it, and I went out there for 3 days, and they're like, we're going to rush through this in three. I'm like, if you can't shoot a friggin' 60-second commercial in 3 days with me, you're probably in the wrong business, I would think. But yep,
They do
but
they do take time. I
yeah,
My mom was a professional model, so I've been around that forever. And she worked for like Ford Times magazine, and which I don't think exists anymore, and then did auto shows and stuff. And so I got involved. I loved runway. That was fun. That was my claim to fame. And so I've kind of done some stuff, and it's like, so I've had that, and I've had the photo sessions and the carpets, and so it was lovely and it was wonderful, and it was a lot of damn work. So I don't know what's next, and we'll see.
yep, yeah. You never know. In fact, and we
Yeah.
didn't really start up front with anything, but kind of let people know exactly what you do and everything as far as paranormal and everything else that you're doing.
I am a psychic medium. I was born a medium. The psychic part started about 12, and I saw a nasty thing come out of my closet, which I always laugh because it's such a cliche, but they are under the bed or they're in the closet, and it was cloaked and gnarly faced. It had isolated me in my bedroom by shutting my door, and that's the click of my door open had woke me up. So I always knew the sounds in my house. I know every sound in this house when it should make that sound, and um, when the sounds are wrong. So then I go look. But so I started then, and this thing that came out of the closet offered me everything in life. And my dad, his biggest teachings were that there's no such thing as a free lunch. So don't ever buy into that. And that's what this thing was offering me. And it, years later now I realize it was trying to dissuade me from doing what I do, because I help people and I help bring light and clarity, and they don't want that. So the day after that happened, I knew at the time, because it was the late 60s, that I couldn't talk about this to anybody because they'd think I was insane. I would have been to a shrink or been drugged or hospitalized, any of the above, maybe all of the above. So I started to journal, and I journaled for 42 years before I told anybody. I said, my husband, we are going to get married, so I'm moving into his home, and I've got boxes of books, and he's carrying these, and he's like, what the hell are these? And I said, well, remember when I started to tell you when the phone was going to ring, and then I was starting to tell you who was on the phone when it was going to ring? Because it was a house phone, and I could feel the electricity from the cord coming from the pole to the house. And I sat him down and I explained it to him, and he said, you have to write a book. And I was like, I do. I kind of always thought it would be great. I loved writing. And so I wrote the first book, Welcome to My Paranormal Life. And excuse me, dedicated it to, all right, dedicated it to all the people who were like me, kind of lost, had nowhere to go, for information. And God, see, I feel like I'm doing a thing for Travel Channel, so I didn't get the job, right? So I wrote it for them. I wrote it to help people understand that they're not alone. And I've given the book away more times than I've sold it. Because, somebody will walk up to my table and they have a 12-year-old with them, and they're like, she or he tells us they see things, but we don't know whether to believe them. And I'm like, well, they're your child. You've raised them. You seem like wonderful people. I'm sure you're honest, and you've raised them to be honest. So what do you think? And they're like, oh my God, we have ghosts in our house. And I just kind of chuckle, and I'm like, now I know I can go into their house standing there. I can go into your house from anywhere in the world. And so I'll be like, yeah, you've got two. And he or she's a medium, or they're open. So they've created portals. So now we got to close those. So I just, do those kinds of things now. Do a lot of community work. I love that. Helped a little 8-year-old girl today. Her mom got a hold of me, and she was sobbing. She was in so much distress over Thanksgiving coming, and grandma wasn't going to be there in the flesh this year. And so I said, I can call you at about 4:15. Let's make that happen. So I got her on the computer and just talked to her and told her that, I gave her some instances because I knew her grandmother had been there. And I said, so these are some things, and she was like, oh, yeah, and I said, so grandma's really there. It's okay. She's there. I said, it's just a little different than it used to be, but talk to her. So she said, I'm okay now. Thank you. And I thought she was going to disconnect me. I was like, kids are so funny. They're so cute. And that's my thing. And that's, you gotta help.
Yep.
People.
You've got 4 books out now, right?
I do. The Dialogue with the Dead came out last year. It's my favorite cover. No, it's my favorite cover. I'm going to do some t-shirts up this year with this thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I like the big owl. I think that's really neat. Yeah, that one's really a great culmination of all the BS I've come through with all of this and all the learning and the self-teaching, and which that, you make mistakes, so you reteach or you relearn, and but the moving forward, and that's a huge thing too. It's like, don't stop, just keep moving forward. So that that kind of is in that vein. Some pretty interesting ghost stories. The one before it, which is dedicated to my dad, Essence of Death. I watched him as he was dying, and his DNA, the helix, rose up out of his face, and it was the most gorgeous kind of ambery gold. And I was like, oh, it looks like champagne and beer. I'm like, that'd be my dad. He could go anywhere and in between, he just kind of covered it all. But it went from his face up through the hospital ceiling, and I knew that he was gone. So that was his essence. So I named the book after him with that. But in that book, I talk about too, I helped get a Wendigo out of some friends of mine, their house, which was really terrifying. Wendigo is a Native American, kind of a lore, but I know now that it really exists. And we had to capture it. You can't just make it go away. You can't sage it away. You have to capture it. So I had to go, and that was when I found out about crystals. And it's like, damn, another addiction, So because I was like, all right, I have to go get crystals for what? And they're going to talk to me. They're going to tell me that, pick me. And I'll be damned if I didn't get to this metaphysical store. And I was looking for a capture stone, and I ended up with a thing was about this big. It was gorgeous. And I can't remember. I can't say the name of it. But it told me. It actually, in my head, I heard, I'm what you need. I offer my help. And I turned around and I looked at the lady at the desk, and she wasn't talking, and there was nobody else in the store. And I was like, I'll be damned. Okay. And so then I had to have some other little stones, and they each told me, I'm the one. And it was amazing. So I had to trap this. I had to make it with my mind, like a well in the top of the stone, like a lobster trap. So it would go in, but it can't go out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to bury this once it was in some abandoned land. And I won't say where. I don't need people digging this thing. So it would be a crystal of death at this point. Because that's their Wendigo's goal is death, because they're soul eaters. They like blood. So I put imaginary drops of blood in here, in that thing too, to get its attention. And it was hungry, so it was all about it. But it was such a huge learning thing, and it was so interesting. I'd met not through Scarefest, but Patty that used to run Scarefest.
Right.
She used to do, this was 2013. I met her because she used to do shows, holistic shows. And she called me up and invited me down, and I went down, and I met a shaman down there, and he coached me all the way through this. He says, this is what you have to do. He's lived in Kentucky and moved to Ohio and whatever. But so he talked to me, and he goes, you have to trap it, and then you have 24 hours to get it out, and you have to bury it. He goes, we give them back to Mother Earth. So Mother Earth will either cleanse it or keep it forever. So I get this thing in the stone. I get down, pick it up at my friend's house, and I get in the car. I called my husband. I said, hey, baby. I said, I'm on my way out. Can you meet me at a certain park and bring a shovel? I'll be there in about 20 minutes. And he goes, okay, great, cool. And he hangs up. And I was like, okay, so I married the right man. It's like, yeah.
No duct tape or rope?
No.
Okay.
No. They must be already dead, because so it's like, yeah. I was just like, all right, I got the right man. Yeah, I know. I love that story. I think it's so cute. That was in the book, and I love him even more for that.
There you go.
Yeah, some weird
Mike,
stuff.
you're gonna have to ask your question of Exie before we run out of time tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So if you could investigate any location in the world, where would you investigate?
Oh gosh. There are some tombs in Rome that I really, really want to get to. So some catacombs, just tons of skeletons and
Yeah,
that, or
I'd love to
Egypt.
go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those, yeah. Yep.
Get into a pyramid, do an investigation.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah, that would be cool.
That would
I'd
be
love to
that
go
would
to
be
Egypt.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would.
That would be
Now,
Interesting.
yeah.
on your
I think it'd
books,
be
if people looking for your books and all, hopefully I got the right website there.
you do. Thank you. Thank you
So,
very much.
yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you just kind of put out Exie Paranormal, it pops up everything. The website, the books, yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
Sure.
They're on Amazon, and or they can order them from me. I'll sign them and get them out.
I should ask her my other question that I stole.
I like that one better, even though it's not yours.
I do
but,
too. Yeah, it's not my question. I was asked this one time, like when I was interviewed, and I was like, "That's a good question." I'm like, "I'm stealing it." So, if you could investigate with 3 people, alive, dead, or fictional, who would you pick?
Oh, you guys, that's just not even funny.
Well, take it out of Mike, not me. He's asked it.
Gosh, that is tough. That is really tough. I'd say Zaphis, but I've already investigated with him, and that was hysterical. I mean, it was not. It was a laugh fest. It was just we had way too much fun. Gosh, I don't even know. Do you think Einstein would ghost hunt?
That would be
Do
interesting.
you think he
He's
would
been
have?
mentioned before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been brought up before.
Oh, that's a hoot. Him, my father, because he really believed in it, and he knew he thought he had an imaginary friend when he was a kid, but I totally described him to him without knowing what he looked like. So it was a ghost. So him, and then I don't know. Let's do 4 because I want to go with you guys.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah,
That
We
would
all
be
make
fun.
mistakes in our lives.
it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stumble around in the dark with a guy
That's
with
right,
one
yeah.
leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just take his crutches and leave him in a corner someplace.
No,
Yep.
then that's where the creepy noises come from.
If the crap goes down, we just grab crutches and leave. It's like
Yeah.
sacrificial.
I have to remember that. I'll just keep the crutches really close by.
A little pair of portable ones in your backpack so you can pop
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I could probably hop if needed. I'd hop out of there.
Yeah,
No,
you
you
talked
would.
about the kids and helping the kids. That's kind of one reason why we started doing a kids day at Ashmore. A lot of it was just the kids have fun, but then at the same time we're kind of educating the parents because we let them know that just because Johnny or Susie see their little imaginary friend doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with them. You don't need to run to the doctor and put them on some type of psychotic drugs. You need to talk to them and find out what's going on because we had a little girl that lived down the street from Ashmore, and she would tell her mom about all kinds of stuff about seeing different people and everything. And her mom was kind of freaking out, and like that's normal with kids. They see things that we don't see, and Autumn would tell her mom about stuff we were doing at Ashmore because the little girl that we think it was Elva would go down and visit her and tell her stuff we did inside of Ashmore. So she knew what we'd done, even though she had been in the building. And so it was really, it's because her mom called me one day and said, were you guys in town over the weekend? I'm like, yeah. It's like, we were out of town visiting some friends, and Autumn says that you guys put Christmas lights up inside the building. I'm like, yeah, we did. It's like, because her friend at Ashmore says that she likes it better now because the lights are on. She can see better at night.
Oh,
And I'm like, okay. So, but yeah, so it's kind of,
ah,
and she started accepting it then because she's like, she just knew that her daughter, was seeing things and, that others didn't.
yeah.
And there was a couple of times it came up some personal stuff that she described. She talked about, I think it was her grandfather or grandmother that she'd never met because they were passed away before she was born, but she knew what they looked like. And she, in fact, I think it was a picture. That's what it was. It was a picture. She's like, that's such and such. I talked to him last night. And she's like, you've never met him. I said, yeah, but he was here. So
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
see things that, we just, a lot of people just think that there's something wrong with the kids, and there's not. There's more wrong with the parents because they don't want to listen to the kids. So,
Yeah. Well, and it's freaky. They've never seen anything, and so if you don't understand it, it's terrifying. But too, that I've had some instances where children have met their grandparents who had passed before they were born. They met them before they were born.
oh wow.
Yeah, they'll tell me the surrounding of where they were, and they were in this great light, and they weren't. They said, "I don't think I was alive," is what a couple of the kids have said.
Huh.
And I was like, "Oh, so you were in soul? You were a soul form," which
Yeah,
is
that's
a whole
kinda
nother
crazy.
leap. Yeah,
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
but
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you got coming up in 2023?
Wow. Some fun stuff. April's booked. May is like booked. I'll be in Oliver House in Toledo, April 1st. And then spring equinox in Oxford, Michigan with I do an event with Candace Isaacson. And then May 6th will be at Stimson House in Eaton Rapids. We're going to do an event there with Candace, Mary, and I. And that'll be a good one. And then there's a few things scattered August, September, October already, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Sounds like it.
Should be a good year.
And you
Good.
do a lot of gallery readings and all then too?
I do. They're so much fun. We're trying to set up a surprise one for the Sioux. We'll see if it works.
And you did one there, Shears up there, didn't you?
Yep.
That sold out, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I was very flattered.
So
It's
yeah,
nice.
I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah.
always great to have that thing sell out like
They're
that.
fun. They're fun.
Yeah.
And this year it worked out nice. I only had a couple people left that didn't, because they'll say, who didn't I get to? And then if I can't get to them at the convention, I give them my card and my phone number, and I say, call me. We'll do 10 minutes on the phone at my house, or wherever. And so I want to make, you want to get to everybody.
You must keep your
Yeah.
gallery readings a little smaller than some then.
I like to have them under 50 or under.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had a couple at 100, and I just felt like, damn, I feel like I kind of ripped them off, and that didn't sit well in here. So I was like, let's cut the galleries down, and because then I know I can get.
Yeah, get to more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then because
That's
that's
what you
what
need to
they're
do,
paying
Mike,
for.
and set up a gallery reading at Rhodes with Exie sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, we should
something
do
like
that.
there.
That would be
Yeah,
fun.
that would be good. Yeah.
I would love. I want to get there, and it was funny because it's not spelled the same, but my mom's maiden name was Rhodes. So when I first saw that, I went, oh, and then I was like, it's not spelled the same, but
How's it spelled?
Rhoads.
Actually, some of this information from Rhodes early on, they spelled it like that. It's been kind of flip-flop back and forth a little bit early.
And then really early on in my grandfather's, I went on that, it's a free website, the family, I think it's the Latter-day Saints one, Family Search or something. And there was ROADS. And so they had changed it twice since then.
I think it was a sign or something, was it, Mike, that we saw that said Rhodes Hotel?
Yeah, the sign has H in it. Yeah, and from what I've learned over time, it was to differentiate the name of the hotel from the family name. because the family name didn't have the H in it. So
Okay. Yeah,
but
because
yeah,
they
the
were
signs here. Yeah.
Terre Haute was where the roads where they were from.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, so not too far.
yeah. Not too
I
far
go
at
through
all.
there almost on a weekly basis. So, picking up materials for the house we're building out at Ashmore. So
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Small world.
yeah, and with Atlanta, then she's your you said your mother's or their maiden name was Rhodes, and also it's kind of weird. A lot of ties in that area there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because that would be, Boyer would be in Paris, Boyer.
Okay.
That was, yeah. Well, Boyer and, yeah, because Grandpa was Rhodes. So, but
Guess you're headed to Florida sometime soon.
December 26th.
Yeah, Jody seems to says she can't wait to see you in Florida.
That would be cool. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I have one, maybe two events already I booked in Florida, which is like my husband's like, no. I was like,
It's like it helps pay for the vacation.
it does. It does. Yeah, I know it. But it'd be fun because there's some really cool haunted sites there, and we found I've got him so now he'll wander through cemeteries with me, but I like to go on cool days because the snakes don't come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been a fan of snakes either, so I don't blame you there.
Yeah, no, Steve
Can't do
either.
without those.
I know. Be a stampede out of the cemetery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
one extra body in the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight. Looking forward, hopefully, seeing you a couple spots this year and everything.
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. Robin
Thank you.
and Mike, thank you so much for asking. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for
It's
being
our pleasure. So,
Thank you.
It's been great.
Happy
So,
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy
same to you.
Coming.
And
Wear your stretch
coming
pants.
up really quick. So
Yeah, I know it. I'm grocery shopping in the morning.
there you go.
That last
Get
minute
what's left
stuff
over,
in.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I cook for like 30, and there's going to be 3 of us, so it'll be good. But thank you guys.
Great.
Oh,
No
thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good evening.
Thanks.
All right.
Have a
We'll talk
great
to you
night.
later.
Bye.
See
Alrighty.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Whoops. Let me fix that. There we go. Oh, it's great having Exie on and have a chance to talk to her. So
Yeah.
she's a wonderful person, and if somebody's looking for reading or something like that, check her out and give her a call and get set up to do that, because let me throw that up there again. Pretty simple website, Exie Paranormal.
Yeah.
You should be able to find her. So she's just an honest individual, and I can say that especially now that she's completely out of the studio. She's not even sitting in the green room, so to speak. But yeah, she's a super honest individual, and I think she's one of those that if she's not coming up with anything, she's going to tell you that.
Yeah.
So instead of leading you down a road that makes you feel good anyway, even though you and I could have took them down that same road.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Well,
yeah.
Next week we have.
We don't know yet, but we'll be announcing that soon.
So
we'll be putting it out there. We've got some cool other guests, though. It's going to be coming up pretty soon. You guys are going to want to tune in.
Coming up too. So we'll get some. Sometimes that week after Thanksgiving, everybody's like, "Yeah, let's wait till after holidays," something like that. So it's a little tough to get some people lined up. But we'll get something going.
We do have some lined up though, and you guys are going to want to tune in.
Yep. So, okay. Well, I think time to get out of here for the evening then.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. We'll everybody go. Happy Thanksgiving to all, and if you're traveling, have a safe trip.
Yeah.
Stay safe on the road out there. It'll probably be kind of busy. So we will.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See you next Tuesday.
See you guys.
All right, everybody.
Night. My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.